Hey, I'm back. You may not have noticed I was gone. You might have noticed I left you hanging after the last video right before I was headed out for a 3-week road trip into the Southwest. And I took a lot of video, I tried to figure out how to tell the story, and I just realized that it takes a really long time for a lot of this these experiences to unfold, months in fact. And so what really has transpired the last few months is turning into the next season of the podcast, the Earth Keepers podcast. So I'm going to hold that story back because it is turning into months of research as well as just really waiting for things to settle. I'm having a lot of dreams, I'm having a lot of experiences and journeys, and I just need time for it to all settle, and I will share the story and go in depth in the next season of the podcast. In the meanwhile, what I've realized is, as we've been doing a lot of work here on the land where we live, people have a lot of questions and are really curious about what we've been doing here. And so I thought that really I would kind of separate what's I'm sharing about on the podcast and what I'm sharing on YouTube. So, you know, our land, our property here where we live is, I guess you could kind of say, like the living laboratory for all of the things that I'm learning. And so it's really where we put into practice a lot of the things that I learned through working with the spirits of the land. So I'm going to be sharing more here on YouTube about what we're doing here on the property and the land and how we're working with the energies here and what we're building. We're kind of in this weird spot right now where it's not a complete blank slate, but in many cases it is. So it's kind of a good timing to bring you along and show you what we're doing. So I'm just going to jump right in today and give you a tour of what is here on our 5 acres, what we're doing and what we have planned, and hope to be able to share more about the work as we do it. So let's go. Hey, I'm here in my office editing, and I just had to pop in really quick because I did this entire video with some camera equipment I haven't used before, and lesson learned. I almost went back and re-recorded the whole thing. But you know what? When we're learning and getting the hang of a new skill, we have to be willing to be imperfect in order to learn and get better. So hang in there with some of the shaky camera work, and next time I'll switch to my different camera and it'll be better. Now, what I was specifically looking for when we were shopping for a home was southern exposure and not too many trees, because here in northwest Montana it gets very dark in the wintertime. We do not have a lot of light, and so when the sun does come out, you want to be able to get it. And we lived in a rental the first couple years we were here that was beautiful, but it was under the trees and you could never see the sun in the wintertime, and it drove me crazy. So I wanted to make sure that we had enough sunlight, not only for ourselves, but for our garden and to be able to grow. And that was really important to me. So what we have done over the past few years is really just work on getting the house set up and making it functional for us day to day. So my husband has an auto glass business, so he works a lot of time out of the shop. He's mainly mobile, but in the winter time he needs to be able to work in his shop. So that is a lot of what we've been doing here, and all of this, you can see it looks like fresh gravel and grading. We just had all of this grading done partially so that we can drive around to the back of the shop and also use this space back here. At some point in the future, we'll probably expand it so that he has more space. In the meanwhile, we've now made a lot of space for more of the homestead type activities. So here on the side of the house is normally where our trailer is parked. It's just out of the way because we've been doing all this grading work. And then we've got the garden back there, and we just built this new compost casita, whatever you might want to call it. But we've really just had one compost bin the last couple of years and really needed something much more functional going forward. So that's what we built that for. Going forward, there's going to be a greenhouse over here with some more planter beds and a patio on the back of the house. So let me show you around. So this is so new, we haven't even started using it yet. We actually still need to put some boards across the front of the bins, but the idea is that you use one bin on one side for a year, and then once it's full, you don't touch it for a year and you move on to the other one. So this is a slightly different type of compost facility than you might be accustomed to, because it is specifically for our composting toilet. So it also can take all the kitchen and garden scraps as well, but we have a composting toilet for our Airbnb, which I will show you shortly, and that compost has to be handled slightly differently. It doesn't get turned, it just piles up for a year and then sits for a year while it breaks down. So, and then we have the little covered area in the middle just to be able to store supplies. Now, this is year 3 of the garden. Year 1, we managed to get the deer fencing up and didn't have the time to build the raised beds. So we just did straw bale gardening in the first year. And sadly, we found out as the season went on that the straw was contaminated with pesticides or herbicides, and many of the plants didn't grow, so it was a really rough year. Last year we got the beds built. We had an extremely hot season and very, very smoky from wildfires, and the plants did okay, but not great, and I think that probably I need to really dial in the watering this year. So far, year 3, we're off to a good start, and hopefully we'll have an abundant harvest. So we've got some perennials out here in front. I'll be expanding these as we do some other work. Here in the garden, we've got a lot of herbs here up front. Garlic, tomatoes and tomatillos, jalapenos, and some butternut squash. Over here on the other side, we have cucumbers, strawberries, radishes that are doing really well. We've got some onions, potatoes back there behind the chair. Broccoli is getting going. And everything is looking really good. We have had 6.5 inches of rain in the past week, and now we need some sunshine to get everything really growing. Now, the backyard is where things have really changed, because literally there was no backyard here until about a month ago. This was a pretty steep slope that went down into the trees and didn't give us opportunity to have much use of anything back here. So we are now putting in a patio. You can see we're testing it out, the area with the chairs there, and also adding a greenhouse back here. Now, the propane tank used to be right about where I'm standing right here. We actually had it relocated last week out of the way. And then we'll be putting a greenhouse right here. You can kind of see maybe how we have some rocks there marking out the size. And then I'll have some space out front for some herb beds, anything basically that the deer won't eat. And we'll probably double the amount of space I have. And then there'll also be some wood storage attached to that building, and tool storage as well. So yeah, we're gonna have so much more usable space back here than we ever have before. I'm so excited. Now this part of the property is, space that we're able to use most of the year, but in the summer months, it's actually one of the ways that we support our lifestyle and our livelihood here, and that is with this little tiny vintage trailer that we rent on Airbnb. So you can see, although it's not far from our house, it is very much nestled down here under the trees and fairly private for the people that come rent it. And yes, you can come stay here with us. There is still space available this summer if you want to come visit Glacier National Park, and I'll put the link down below. So this is where our composting toilet, our outhouse is. It has a propane heated shower and a little sink area for doing dishes and brushing your teeth, and also a little fire pit. So it's really like a private campground back here. I love it. I spend a lot of time back here when we don't have guests. Oh look, we've got some good fungi coming up after all that rain. Lots of mushrooms back here. And this little trail takes you back up to the top of the hill, behind the garden. And from up here you can really get the overview of how everything's laid out and connected, and the work we have yet to do. I really hope you enjoyed this video, shaky camera work not included, and can really just have an overview and a grasp of kind of what we are working with here. And in future videos, I'll go much more in depth and to what exactly we're doing, how we're being guided by the nature spirits and the spirits of the land here, and how everything starts to come together. Now, what's funny is as I was walking along and filming and saw those mushrooms on the trail, I was totally trying to be cool because I was pretty sure what I had just tripped across, but I wasn't 100% sure, and I wanted to go check. And as it turns out, those were Amanita mushrooms. They're a panther variety. It's a little different than Amanita muscaria, but still like a sister mushroom. I have been looking for Amanitas for years, and what do you know, while I'm out there just walking along the trail with the camera, I found them. Finally. And in fact, I'm holding a ceremony here on the land with Amanita muscaria in just a couple of weeks, and these mushrooms popped up just a few feet away from where the ceremony is going to be. So obviously they are here and letting their presence be known for the ceremony, which I was so excited with. So I will leave you here at the end of the video with a little tea party that I had with these mushrooms after I discovered them, and I did a little channeling with them. They had lots of messages about space and time and being immortal. I'll share it sometime in the future, but it was such a special experience to come across these mushrooms, and I really enjoyed spending time with them. So enjoy.